Love Lessons, the show where healthy couples come to share their wisdom from the lessons they've learned in love. We discuss everything from money to parenting to social media, and don't leave out stress and sex. Go get your pen and paper because class is now in session. Come catch your blessings. Welcome to Love Lessons, hosted by Trey Kearney. Welcome to Love Lessons, another session of Love Lessons. And tonight is going to be on fire. I am so excited to be here tonight because this is one of my favorite couples, and they are almost 43 years in the game of marriage. They have been married for almost 43 years. Let me say that again. 40. Just in case y'all thought I said 3. 43. They are high school sweethearts.
Yep.
And they are going to set this world on fire. So welcome, Pastors Yolanda and Cornelious Carroll. The Carrolls are in the building. Welcome our instructors for the night. Give them some claps. Hey. So how y'all doing? Y'all ready for this?
Doing great. Really excited about being on tonight and sharing with you guys. So really happy.
Y'all just fly.
Okay. The weather's beautiful out here, and down here where we are, we're in Houston, Texas. So, people are out, people are taking walks, riding bikes and things. And we don't live too far from the Galveston Bay. So people got their tops down, getting ready to just have a good old weekend coming up down here.
I know that's right. And we were just talking before the break, and Pastor Yo said she's going to be 65.
Yes.
On the 28th of August, 1957. 8/28/57.
Listen, hold on. When they say black don't crack, I mean black don't crack. Because listen, I'm 52.
Too. Thank you.
I know that's right, Pastor C.
Hey. Right. Thank you.
So the first thing I like to start with is I like to start with your blueprint. So tell me, we'll start with Pastor Yo, ladies first, and then Pastor Cornelius. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Tell me about your relationship with your mom and your dad.
Okay, I'll go first. I am, again, I'm Yolanda Carroll. I'm the oldest of 4. I have a younger sister, and then I bonus sister, so actually I'm the oldest of 5. And then 2 younger brothers. But I was raised in the home with both of my parents, my mom and my dad. They were married actually 63 years until my dad passed away in 2020. So I've seen marriages. I grew up with my father in the home and a good relationship with my daddy as well as my mom. My dad acted as the provider, though. He was not very, very nurturing. His love language was provision. And so, and we'll speak about that a little bit more as we talk. But when women date and when women marry, sometimes they choose their dad either for one reason or the other reason. And my husband is so different. Their birthdays are just days apart. They're the same astrological sign. But my husband is a real nurturer. He finds romance in a rock. And again, I was raised with my father and 2 brothers. However, I wasn't very touchy-feely, yummy, lovey like that, just because of the influence I had. And again, as Trey mentioned earlier, Cornelius and I met in high school. And we have different views on how that really happened, but we were high school sweethearts, graduated high school, then went on, graduated college. The very next weekend we got married. And so coming up June 23rd, we'll be married 43 years. And it's been a great journey. However, it has been a journey, and I like him and I love him.
Thank you, baby.
I love y'all.
Well, so my story is I grew up with my family. I have a sister and a brother, and both of my parents. My dad was my hero, taught me a lot about life. And someone asked me a question recently, what do I find myself being disappointed about? And I was like, when I do things that I would let my dad down. So that's one of the ways I think about him. My mother was an educator, and so they poured into us tremendously. And so my parents were both married until till my mom passed away, and they're both in heaven now. And but a tremendous influence on me. And so, we were a pretty close knit family. And there's a story that my wife tells about when we first got married, how we were she teases us about being the Beaver Cleaver family.
Yes, they did. They did, Trey. Again, my parents were blue collar, so both of my parents worked shift work. My mom was phlebotomist at a hospital, and my dad worked in construction. And so I would get home earlier in the evenings, and I would get my younger siblings together, and we would eat when we got ready to eat. If supper was corn dogs with hot dogs with mustard and mayo and corn chips and Kool-Aid, that's what we had, because that's what I wanted to give us. Or if I really did, make spaghetti and some garlic bread or whatever. But with them, the Cleavers, girl, listen, it was a meat, a vegetable, a starch, a little ambrosia salad with some marshmallows and stuff with it, and iced tea, even during the week. And I was like, wow, look at that. And they kept their good clothes on when they ate, we get home from school, or even on Sundays, get home, you still chill before dinner. They wore their good clothes.
I know that's right.
For dinner.
I know that's right. So I love this. So we could get to a good question that's on my list, but it falls right into place with speaking of your families. And I just want people to understand the dynamic of a relationship and where your foundation comes from, so people can understand why there's longevity, why
Right.
Why there's stick to itiveness and those different things. Or like Pastor Yo said, we wasn't all touchy feely, and my husband came in and taught me that. So let's talk about, I see the dynamic of you both came from a 2-parent home. So a lot of times people get into relationships and they're not equally yoked. So should you be equally yoked, or is unequally yoked okay?
Okay, I'm gonna just jump in, and then mine will be probably the more basic answer, and then my husband may look at it a different way. But when I think of unequally yoked, I think of something a bit more spiritual. Is if you have the same spiritual beliefs. That your end game would be that you live a life such that people would see you and want to spend eternity with Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. So when I think of equally yoked, I think of being connected that way. However, with my husband and I think there were so many differences between the two of us, including even our own personal personality traits. And I think as couples, those who are dating, those who are even waiting for God to send them their mate, oftentimes we're looking for or listening to someone who's like us, who does what we do and likes what we like. However, my husband and I are not probably one of the most different people, different from each other than anybody that I could think. However, I do not think that we are unequally yoked. We have some choices that we chose, or some habits that we learned, but unequally yoked, no. And I'm everything up between everything. Like, he likes chocolate, I like vanilla. He likes steak, I like seafood. He's cold all the time, I'm hot all the time. He likes fast cars, I like luxury cars. He likes 2-story homes, I like 1-story homes. You name it. He you give him $100 and say, this is your play money for the week. At the end of Thursday, he gonna still have $90. At the end of 3:30 the same day, I'm gonna have zero. So we're different on money and value, and even that. And we probably get a chance to speak about that just a little bit too. For us to be successful in marriage, we've had to communicate. We've had to, do some deep dives to try to figure out what's going to work best for us, even financially, because of the way I like to spend and the way he likes to spend, and even the way to be able to take care of our family. So back to your question, unequally yoked, I do not think that you have to be the same or come from the same side of the track, because even that, I tease about that. They lived on that side, we lived on this side. But
we got it together. We brought it together.
we brought it
So,
together.
so Trey, I want to just add one thing to what Yolanda said, and then I'm going to answer your question from my point of view. Differences are not necessarily damning. In other words, they don't mean that we can't work together. The difference, I think, with us is we've learned to respect each other's difference, and then also look to see how that can enhance the relationship. For instance, there's things about my wife that she has a great spirit of discernment, much better spirit of discernment than I do. So just because I don't have a spirit of discernment, I lean on her for those things that are not my personal strengths, and hopefully she does the same with me. So I just wanted to throw that out when we speak about
Yes.
differences. But let me go back to answer your original question, was about the equally yoked. So there is the example that we think about being unequally yoked, where that really came from in the Bible, is that you don't want to yoke a ox with a donkey. Okay, and a yoke is the collar that those animals put on to do the work that they're going to do, and so you don't want the ox and the donkey doing the pulling this at the same time, because one is going to be stronger than the other, and one has one purpose, the other one is over in the side eating grass, right? And so talk about being unequally yoked. We want to say that we're pulling together in the same direction and looking to accomplish some similar things. Whereas I'm not, over here eating grass, party all the time, and my wife is doing all the work, or vice versa. We want to make sure we're pulling together, and so that's another way to think about unequally yoked. And when we see, where there's a challenge in that area, then we can talk about it. And my wife, and we are still learning to communicate better, even in 43 years. And probably we've learned more in the last 5 years than we have in the first 38. So we encourage couples to be continuous learners in your relationship. In fact, the scripture says, husbands, dwell together with your wife according to understanding. So the more I understand her, then that's how I got to live with her. So kind of a long answer, but I hope that.
And then the last little thing about the oxen and the donkey is, now a larger oxen can be attached to a smaller one, or one that's not as strong. But when you start to get unequally yoked, you're connecting something that is totally different, and it was not designed to do what the other one does. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Y'all taking us to church over here. I love it.
I
Listen, I love this.
I told you he was going to say that part. I told you that's what he was going to say.
This the good stuff. I just need the people listening, because I want people to understand, like, sometimes we take bits and pieces of scripture and we twist it and turn it to the way we want it to sound, and we don't listen to the rest of the scripture, or we just make something up in our head, but we got the pastors in the building that can for us tonight. So this is a question that I have, right? Because I have conversations with people who are going into blended families, and then I have conversations, and I was having a conversation not too long ago with some people, and they were saying that the guy had said his wife comes before his kids, and it was a big blow up, and everybody was going back and forth about it. So how does that work in your home, and how do you think that should work? Does the husband and a wife come before the children, or do the children come before the spouses?
Let me just say this to pass it on to him. Immediately when you ask that question, the word that pops in my mind is order. There is an order that God ordained, that particular order. And so, because there is a place, a order for the husband, the wife, the children, the children and bonus children, so stepchildren, whatever you want to call them, and grandchildren and adopted children. There is a hierarchy there, and God being the top, and then there's order. But it would not. That's in my word. It's a little challenging to say that you put them before. But would you speak to order?
Yes. So basically, given that every organization that we work for, every company that we work for, every group that we are in, your sorority, fraternity, there is an order. And just like God is the head, and then Christ is is submitted to God. Then the husband is submitted to Christ, and then the wife, the husband should have headship in the household if we're walking according to God's plan. So there is order in everything. CEOs, they have to submit to the shareholders. So no matter how high you are up, there's order. And I think we kind of sometimes give a place for the enemy when we say, do I put my wife first? Do I put the children first? Because God wants us to be a one together as a family. And it's not me and Yolanda against the children, or Yolanda and the children against me. It's us all together, trying to pull together. And that includes the children, the kiddies, and what have you. But we got to move as families. And the moment that we don't move as God's family intended to be, then we allow a fracturing to happen, and we allow other things to creep in. So, I would say that. So, but I will tell this story, and this is I knew my wife's smiling because she knew what I'm about to say. But Yolanda and I, we were high school sweethearts. So she was 16, I was 17. So she was my girlfriend, I was her boyfriend. That's what we were first. And then we went to, so we graduated high school. Then we went to college, and then we got married. So Cornelius and Yolanda for those almost 5 years. And then along came
another 3 years later, we had Cornisha.
Right. We had our first child, Cornisha. And then 4.5 years later, we had Shannon. And then
10 years later, we got D.
Yeah. And then we got our son. So the children grew up. The children went to school. We had careers. We worked in corporate America, did what we did. And we traveled as a family. And
we got sick. We got well.
We did all those things together. And then the children grew up, and one went off to college. Another one went off to college. Another one, they all doing their thing. Now the daughters are both married, have their own families. They have their own children in some cases. Cornisha have their children, and our son is still here with us, but we're preparing him, to be ready for that time when he's going to move out. And guess what? We retired from our corporate jobs, but now we're pastoring, and our children are gone. And guess who's left here? It's me. It's the two of us. So if we would have, and we know people, we actually coach couples that say, oh, well, we put everything into the children, and when the children left, I don't know him. I don't know her. And that's because they put their mate on hold for a season.
Whoa.
When really they should have been continuing to nurture this relationship.
Right.
And so as children, we got to show our children to love, to nurture this relationship as much as the relationship with the baby. So I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night and feed Yolanda and change her diapers, right? When we had children, but we have to do that to get our children up to that point. And, we work through that together. So I hope that helps a little bit, Trey.
That's so good. Oh my God, that's so good. That is so good. That's so good. That's so good. That's so good. No, I'm so serious. Because the children have gone on with their lives. Right. And so many people disregard their spouse. And I have to say this about women, and it's not to judge, and it's not to, cause them to feel guilty, but to hold them accountable that you cannot put your husband on hold. Okay, because Pastor Yo said, we don't want to say we putting the kids before the man. But a lot of times unconsciously, we put our husband on the back burner and say, I got these kids, I got this job. And we must realize that we must nurture our spouse through the process, because our children are one day going to leave. And you said something, Pastor Yo, you said this, and I want everybody to hear this. Because folks is getting married or wanting to get married or desire to be married. They want the ring, and they want the wedding and the white dress and the flowers and the 16 bridesmaids and the fabulous, through sickness and in health. I know you guys have been through something. This is some real talk right here.
Yep.
Because we all want this boo, this bae, but real stuff come along. So talk about what that means through sickness and in health, because people ain't even making it through a cold.
Right?
That's true.
That's right. There are so many. God has been really, really good to us, and however, He has used our health, my health, to even strengthen us, strengthen our relationship, and even encourage other couples in the area of mental health and mental. Anyone who talks to me or knows me knows that it is a journey for me. It's been a journey for over almost 13 years now. God is healing me of mental illnesses, and through medical intervention and coaching and counseling and prayer and all of those things, I'm in a healthy place. However, in sickness and in health, there have been several times in the last couple of decades that my husband has had to carry the whole weight for me. Ooh. Emotionally, financially, everything, because I was not healthy. And there was nothing in the wedding contract that said, she's going to go into, have a full-blown depression or struggle with, with bipolar disorder or any of those. There's nothing in the contract that will let you know or prepare you for that. And in even further along, then the different, I've had different surgeries. There was the gallbladder surgery. So there's surgery. There's time, you're in the hospital, and then there's the precancerous tumors, and then you're in the hospital. And but there were a lot of good days that we did not have to struggle with with the Lord healing me. But then there's also, when you in sickness and in health, it's not just the sickness and in health of you, it's those you love. So Cornelius's mom got very, very ill, and we had to play a very important part in her sickness and health until she transitioned. Same thing with his dad. Was a much shorter time, and then even most recently with my dad. And so when you meet, when you say for better or for worse, and in sickness and in health, you're not just thinking as we get old and I find his eyeglasses for him and he finds my cane for me. It's a lot more than that. And he'll share a little bit about it, that it's now been 7 years now, and God is healing. My husband is 7 years cancer free. And I am I'm approved about some things, and some of them include germs and blood and things like that. And when we straight 100 here. When my husband had to come home from the hospital with those drains in his neck and chest and all of that stuff, I was like, and so who's going to take care of these drains and these medical tools and things like that?
You did such a good job.
Yeah, and I got two new persons out the deal too. Trey, every time I said, every day that I have to change these drains, that's one more new handbag. One more new handbag. But jokingly, but seriously, there is no way to prepare for what will happen. However, though we need, as we think about our spouse and our mate, when we think about who God is giving us, sending us, and I tell people, I tell the ladies that I coach and some of our clients, that when you're sitting across from her or you're sitting across from him, just the way they are right now, now, and if they don't change, if they still, if they still snort when they drink milk, or if they still, step out of their shoes inside the door, or if they still snore, they still don't know left, if they still physically do not know their left from their right, if they're just like they are 10 years from now. Can you do this? Are you willing to be with this person right here? Because right now you're with the best version of that. They're giving you pretty much the very best version of themselves. So when you look across from her and you're looking at her and you're thinking about her and then, but can you do it like this? Now, we are all a work in progress, and some of us, we're changing, we're evolving, we're learning more, we're growing. So not saying you're gonna get worse, but if you did it, you need to be good with what you're buying into now, who you're marrying, who you're saying yes to, for better or for worse.
Right. And one of the reasons for that is because often many of us have an agenda. Okay, well, she's cute and fine, but I can fix all that other stuff in her. I'll train her or train him. And that's not God's desire, that we would be going in and changing the person that He gave us. And not that we don't want things to get better, but we need to make sure that it's not like I'm gonna fix her or I'm gonna fix him, because that generally is a failed strategy. That generally doesn't work out too well.
Woo wee, y'all are on fire. Listen, folks don't get through sickness and in health. Like I said, people not making it through a cold right now.
Mm-mm.
People
Nope.
leaving marriages in 2 years, 3 years,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
and it's a crime,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
sad. And people
Mm-hmm.
don't think about in sickness and in health that I may have to take care of my mother-in-law.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or I
Right.
Mm-hmm.
may have to take care of my father-in-law. Am I
Right.
up for
Right.
that? Or my
Right.
mother-in-law, my
Or
father-in-law
my
may have to come
child,
in,
or my
or my
child.
child,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
or they may have to come live with us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
this
Right.
is
Mm-hmm.
what
Right.
you're signing up for when you go and say, I take a
Mm-hmm.
vow before God through sickness and in health, through the good times and the bad times, the
Mm-hmm.
happy, the sad. People are thinking, oh, like Pastor Cornelius said, oh, I could change that. Or if her mother wants to come live with us, her mother's not coming to live with us. So let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about the D word, divorce, right? Should divorce be an option? Are there deal breakers for you?
I love
Or
it.
is it just till the
I
wheels
love this.
fall off?
I love this question. I love it. I love it. I love it. Again, Cornelius and I have been doing this now for 22, almost 23 years, and coaching and coupling and just trying to offer wisdom in these areas. And certainly we don't have all the answers, but there are a couple of things I want to say to that. Certainly the Bible, and because we are men and women of faith, the Bible does give you an option of, there are reasons in the Word that you can get a divorce, uh, if, uh, um, if that's something that you and your family you decide to do. However, the Bible does not say you have to get a divorce if there has been, infidelity, or one or both have fallen in in the relationship. And for myself, for Cornelius and I, we made it a determination a long time ago, that we don't have deal breakers. We
Mm-hmm.
did we've done it with couples a lot of times, but during the workshops, we pass out these little pieces of paper, ask the couples, to write on it, not letting the others see it, and ask, what is your deal breaker? And we don't even set up the question very much, and
Mm-hmm.
says, in your marriage, what is your deal breaker? What's the deal breaker? Write it on this piece of paper. And so in one particular time we had, it was about 12 couples, so 24 people and in the room. And so we had 24 pieces of paper, and all of those pieces of paper, except three, had a deal breaker on it. One, if she cheats, if he, gets on drugs, if and of course now we're people, we've got sense now. If there's abuse and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
we're not talking about that, but we're talking about, but overall, for me, for the main things there, we don't have deal breaker. But on those 24 pieces of paper, there was 21 deal breakers people had put on there. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
put the same in there. Then there were three that had none. There was only three people. It was me, Cornelius, and one other lady. Her name was Joy. Everybody else goes in with a relationship that, hey, if this happens, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
If this happens, I'm out. And so actually that just kind of gives the enemy leeway I know that's a crack right there.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
And then the other piece too is, people are going into relationships now is that not I do, it's I'll try. I'll try to,
Mm-hmm.
be married to you. I'll
Mm-hmm.
try to have a good life with you. But what happened to the firm I do, and I still do, and
Mm-hmm.
I will. And
I'm
so,
leaving. I'm just leaving now.
and the other
I'm
thing,
gonna pack my bags because I ain't ready for a husband. You didn't
and
just
then,
slap me all up in my head.
right, and then the other piece too, Trey, is I think that when we, people who have had unsuccessful marriages or unsuccessful relationships, before, y'all, I'm saying it, go in with that little safety net back there that says, well, I made it before. If it don't work out, I'm out. So anything that feels vaguely familiar to the last thing that made you uncomfortable or made you didn't feel good or made you feel sad or bad, you're like, oh, okay, well, all right, then I'm easy. It's easier to walk away when you feel like, well, I did it before. So if we can take those deal breakers off the table from the beginning, and if we can make a determination not to, and Ivy says it all the time. One of my best friends, my mentor, she talks about that. What you lead with, you leave with. What you lead with, you leave with. So if you go in there with that preconceived notion, or come in there with that, it's more often than not, you're going to leave with that. But does that make sense?
Girl, y'all, wait, I got to tell the people, hold on. The instructors tonight did not come to play games. Pastor Yo just stepped on our necks, including mine. She just stepped on our necks. If you just tuned in, you're tuned into Love Lessons. And tonight our instructors are Pastor Cornelious Carroll and Pastor Yolanda Carroll. And they did not come to play. They understood the assignment. Put on your seatbelt, get your pen and your paper, take it. They are not trying to hurt your feelings. They're trying to prepare you for what it is that you think that you want. And I'm gonna say this: you just really stepped on my toes with the deal breakers, because I'm not ready for marriage, right? And I've been telling, and my prayer to God is that, because I was married before I committed adultery. So my prayer to God is not until I'm ready. Right. And I keep asking God, where's my husband? Where is my Boaz, Jesus? Like I'm good. I cook, I clean, I keep myself kind of together.
Yes.
But I got deal breakers. I'm walking in wrong. I done gave the enemy a crack before I even got my man.
Absolutely.
Right.
Come on, Pastor Cornelius.
Well, when we have those preconceived notions of what it is that will be a deal breaker, they're easy to find because you begin to look for them. You kind of go in and look behind begin to go through people's wallets, go through people's phones, go, looking for stuff. And, if you look hard enough, you can find something. It might not be what you thought you were going to find, but it's something else that's going to get on your nerves. And it was something that we dug up that it's not even a big deal. And so suddenly we find ourselves with a hill to die for that really shouldn't be a hill to die for, because we are going in looking for it. So a hill to die for basically is when, there are many things in relationships that we need to give each other grace over. We need to forgive each other. And we need to ask ourselves, and my wife says it like this, next Tuesday, this thing that I'm upset that, will it really matter? When we get to Tuesday, will I still be thinking about that, the dishes weren't done, or you forgot this, or what have you? Is it a hill to die for? And what we do is we have a zillion hills this high that we're willing to die for that really should not be, because we have these preconceived notions, and we begin to have these deal breakers that enter in that really have no place in our marriage.
Let me say something about hills to die for, and these again, because I'm a visual learner. So if you draw me a picture, tell me a story, I can I can get it. And so one of the things when we talk about making a big thing, or making a hill, a mountain out of a molehill, it's been a long time ago. However, it still happened, and it's important for us to see ourselves when we just when all of this tomfoolery is going on, right? So we're getting ready to go to church, my husband and I, and we have a growing a Christian church in the area. But sometimes we ourselves end up making sure that during the week there are cases of bottled water there at the church. So usually he'll take it, or he'll have one of the maintenance people or someone take the bottled water up to the church. And so we had the water here at the house, and we get ready to go to church. We're leaving. We're driving along, and he says, and I said, "Oh, did you get the bottled water?" And he was like, "Oh man, I forgot the water." I said, "Oh, you forgot the water? Oh my God, you forgot the bottled water?" He said, yeah, but we have plenty up there. We have, but we needed to have that bottled water with us up here at the church. Now look at this. Now here we are showing up without the bottled water, and now we're driving down the street on our way to worship with the nice church people, and I'm just cutting a fool about bottled water. And so Cornelius, he's very calm. He's just driving and stuff, and I'm just carrying on about bottle. I just don't care. I don't see how you could forget it. Every week, it was sitting right there by the garage door opener, just bottled water. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to church. Take me home. Turn this car around. Turn this car around and take me home. He looked over at me and he just accelerated, like taking you to this church quicker than I need to get you there as fast as possible. But when I say, is it a hill to die for? What I look like carrying on about some bottled water, y'all. So we have to be sure it's a hill to die for. Don't sweat the small stuff.
That's so good. Oh my goodness. You know what? We not only do that in our marriages, but we do that in our relationships. We lose valuable relationships over something that 5 years from now you'll run into that person and you guys don't even know why you stopped being friends, or even in relationships. It's like we really broke up because of that. Like I don't even remember why we broke up.
Right.
So I love this question, and I asked this question to all of the couples because I just think I love to get the different perspectives because every couple is different. People go crazy when they hear the word submission. I ain't submitting to nobody.
Right.
Who talking about submission? Especially women. We really got a problem with when we hear that word, we go back and forth in our little groups when we talking amongst ourselves. So can you guys talk a little bit about submission in your marriage?
I am, and I love that question as well because I think we've been taught we women, many of us have been taught. Now you still got to be your own woman. You still got to be able to, don't let no man, be totally dependent on no man for anything. And so we've always heard that little black dog saying that in our ear. However, being a woman of faith, the Bible does say submit. It says, wives, submit unto your husband, but it says, as he submits unto God. And it also says, submit ye one to another. Right. So it wasn't just one submit commandment. It was 3 commandments. Submit to God, wives, submit to your husbands, and husbands and wives submit one to another. So I don't that doesn't bother me, doesn't worry me. And again, I will follow him as long as he follows the Lord. Whoa. And so even with me, my personality is a lot stronger. I mean, my personality is more gregarious, but I have made a decision because this is who God gave me, who my forever partner, that even if when at the end of the day, when there has to be a decision made and I don't agree, I agree because this is who God has gave in charge over me, and I'm good with that. I know God loves me so much that he's not going to allow Cornelius to mistreat me or do anything that would make God look bad. So I don't have a problem with the word submit. I don't.
And it also adds a level of accountability from a man's standpoint that if my wife is going to allow me to lead her, then I need to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to lead in a godly way, to love her the way that God wants me to love her, and to take care of and cover her. And so, it even adds a piece of accountability to me. And I'm okay with that. I'm good with that because I think that's one of the things should be in a man's definition: accountability, responsibility, covering, and taking care of those that God has assigned to me. So I think those are very, very important things.
And then again, going back to that is that again, submitting, that's a biblical principle. Right. So the word is referring to people of faith. So a man of faith, a woman of faith. So No, I'm not going to submit to you because you're not no man of faith. If you, but however, if you're a man of faith, yes, I do.
And so
So that's not to you, Mr. Non-man of faith.
And so if we could just keep it, having one more keep it real moment, I cannot tell you how many times my wife and I have had a conversation with couples, and we we get off the phone and say, "Ooh, they married the wrong person." Now we don't give up on them. We work with them and stuff, but many couples go in because again, because she's fine, or he's good looking and tall, dark, and handsome, and that's the criteria. But that criteria is, I promise you, it's going to change.
Sure.
I promise you, it's going to change. So what about their character? What about their love for the Lord? What about their internal strength? What about their morals and their values? Those are the things that hopefully will only get better in life. But things like uh,
you can say it.
My wife is beautiful, but that's not the main characteristic that that I'm looking at in her. I love the heart. I love the drive. I love the way the children that she's given me. I love all of those things and more. So again, those are the things that we need to.
And I want to jump in there too. Also, you can have a whole lot of reasons, but it's also not. It's so okay to say, why do you love him? I just do. I just do, because usually if you have a reason why you do, then there can be a reason why you don't.
Right.
So be okay with, I just do. I just love her. I just love her. I just love him.
Right.
Because I do. I just do.
Oh my goodness.
And so go ahead.
And so I lost my thought.
Okay, so let's talk about love for just a quick second, because
please do. Hold on. Wait, get your pen and paper. Get your pen and paper. This is about to get deep. The instructor is about to instruct.
We've dipped into it a few times. There's a difference in love, in lust, like, and desire. Love is sacrificial. Love is unconditional, and love is choosing the mate's best good. And so that's what I need to make sure that I'm doing. I'm willing to sacrifice for my wife. I'm willing to love her unconditionally, because that's what the scripture says in Corinthians, when it says love doesn't keep score. It's unconditional. And then I need to choose her best good. And so that may mean, like she was saying, in sickness and health, when I was getting over my cancer, getting healed from my cancer, she had to do things for me that she would not like to have done, but she did it willingly, and did all that she could to choose my best good. And so here I am, thankfully, almost 8 years later now.
I didn't break you.
You fixed me, baby.
I didn't break you.
So really, when it comes to love, I think really we really need to make sure that individuals understand a little bit more about love. And so where's that model come from? It's the love that the Lord has for us. He loved us. Jesus went to the cross for us, not because we deserved it. It was unconditional. He died. It was sacrificial, and he did it so that was the only way we could get to heaven. So he chose our best good, and that's the model for love that really we need to be choosing. And because one day,
and choosing, excuse me for cutting you, and choosing when you're dating, and choosing when you, before now, don't wait till you've already accepted the ring and all of that to just say, is this person are they gonna love me unconditionally, or do I love them unconditionally? Am I willing to always seek the other's best good? And just kind of circle back to one of the things we were talking about when we were talking about submitting and doing what, knowing, believing that Cornelius has my best good at heart. Even like small decisions. I tell the story all the time. So if you've heard me speak at all about submission and working together with my husband or my mate, you've heard me tell the story about the 2 lamps. And I told him, I came home one day and I said, hey, I saw these gorgeous lamps over here at Star Furniture, and I'm gonna grab these lamps. And he said, we'll see. I said, we'll see. And he said, yeah, we'll see. And I was like, we'll see. I got my own money and my own credit card, and yeah, you telling me that I can't get no $500 lamps? Da, 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 da. I got mad. I wouldn't talk. I walked around. I huffed and I puffed. But however, we want to agree on finances, and we want to, again, it wasn't the $500. It was, us sharing about money and finances and things like that. And so we wanted to agree on it. And so I was mad. And then finally, after a few days, he says, okay, Yolanda, can I talk to you about the lamps and stuff? And I was like, okay. Well, he says, Yolanda, when I said we'll see about the lamps, what I was doing was, I know you. I have to calculate what that means. When I say yes to the lamps, that meant that I'm going to need to be able to say yes to a new leather sofa and a new leather chair to go with the lamps, and then a new throw rug to go with the new leather love seat, and paint the wall to go with the new living room whole zen. So when I was saying let's see, I needed to calculate, and not that I have a disposable, $1,100 for some lamps, but do I have $11,000 for an entire new room makeover? And so because I know that I know that about him, and he knows that about me. Now I trust that if he tells me wait or not yet or no, which I do not like anyway, but does that make sense though, that the way you have to partner in together, know each other, and then know what the end game is? Does that make sense, Trey?
This makes so much sense. Y'all are just killing it tonight after 43 years. Pastor Cornelius, you want to come in and say something?
Yeah, I just want to say one last thing about that piece. One of, Yolanda was saying earlier that there's certain questions that she said that we ask, like, if this person doesn't change, can you still be with them? I want to ask one more question, and this is to the ladies. The man, when they're sitting before us in premarital coaching, we will ask the question, can you follow this guy who's sitting right next to you if he does not change? And are you willing to be covered by this man that's sitting right next to you if he doesn't change? If he doesn't change at all, can you allow him, will you allow him to cover you for the rest of your life, the rest of your days? And
in our 22 years, and I can say this because we lived in different states. It's no shade on whoever it was, but over 22 years we've been doing this. We've had two couples to not come back when that question was asked, and they had needed to make a determination. 2 times they did not. 2 couples.
They felt convicted. They wanted what they wanted. And when we come, we got to be willing to hear the truth and hear the good counsel and be able to say, this is not a good idea for me, because I know right now sitting in this chair that if this man don't change, I'm not going to follow him. But for now, I want him. So I don't want to see the Carrolls no more, because they talk too much. They doing too much. They doing too much. Nobody want to hear that. Just tell us what we want to hear. We ain't even ask y'all all that. But this is just such good fruit for the people who are listening right now. And if you just you're tuned into Love Lessons. Our instructors, Pastor Cornelius and Yolanda Carroll, are here to instruct, and they did not come to play. So up in our years, right? I'm a 52-year-old woman, and things are changing in my body. So I'm like, Lord, you need to give me my husband for everything. Before I go bald or whatever, just give my man if I don't have no teeth, because stuff is shifting. So during the time of we grow at different rates as people. So I'm sure over 43 years, you guys have had spurts where you changed to a different person. And I think the Luptons talked about they were married for almost 25 years. And it was seasons where changes went and changes went and changes went. So let's talk about change and how you are able to maintain, sustain, and remain in your marriage through these different changes, these different seasons. And now that you guys are getting seasoned, we're in our seasoned years. and
Mm-hmm.
sex is not every day. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah,
we not the married couple from college. How do
right.
you keep it awesome, and how do
Okay.
you work through those changes as you grow through 43 years?
That's a big one, Trey, and that's a big one. That's a really big one. However, a very important question. And
Mhm.
like you said, as we change physically, women emotionally, all of these different things, more often than not, men aren't changing at that slowing down at that same pace as women are. And so it's very, 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 very important that we communicate our sexual needs, our intimacy needs to one another. And even I was talking with someone even on the other day. It was another chat similar to this, and she was saying that as far as relationships, intimacy, and those types of things, we're still at a point where we need to tell our mate what we want, what we like, what do I like sexually, what do I do not like, what do not want to experience, what I want to experience,
Mhm.
does this need to be done differently, those types of things. And so, but we talk about everything else. We talk about everything else. We talk
Mhm.
about, low fat salad dressing
Mhm.
with poppy seeds or without it. We talk about, I went through this great long detail about him yesterday when I went to get my pedicure, about all the steps that the lady took to, do my pedicure and all of these types of things. But when it gets to sometimes something as important as intimacy and stages in our lives, and like for us, our careers, at one point we were just extremely busy. We had small kids, so
Mhm.
no, sex and intimacy wasn't very high on the totem pole. And then there were times, again, I think, where we both were more like rabbits and a little bit more intimate. And then other times, as I mentioned, the illnesses that have come along and those types of things. But it's very, very important. And I say to the male, just because my husband is just a more intimate type person, and that's one of his love needs is sex. But that needs to be open and honest conversation, ongoing, all the time, because there'll be, like how people talk about people get hangry when they're hungry, they get angry and hungry together. There's got to be a word for that, for horny. There's got to be a word.
Angry, horny.
Yeah, there's got to be a word for that also. But that's that's something that is very real. Is very
Mhm.
real to the puppy. And intimacy, sex, again, are one of the 5 common unmet needs of a male, and it's not of a female. One of the most common 5 unmet needs of a female is affection. So men want to be intimate, women want affection. So I want you to tell me I smell good. I want you to tell me you saw me. I want you to, you know hit me on my bottom as I walk past the mirror or something like that.
Mhm.
But his thing is, I want to do that. However, does that mean that tonight is going to be my night?
Mhm.
Oh,
And so I'm like, not necessarily so, but
oh,
it's like, well, why do I need to do that then? If that's not what the end game is going to
Mhm.
be. So I think I went all over the place, but
no,
But
that's good.
but it's so the first thing I thought of when you asked the question was it goes back to the foundation. And if we have a strong foundation, we know that we love each other. It's just like the sick and the well times. It's just like the rich and the poor times. When the foundation will sustain us. When we are very active and when we're not very active. So again, it comes back to having real love that is sustainable during all those times. So that's one of the other things. And so this is why it's important that we build a relationship on a very, very solid love base and not just feelings, because what feelings will change
mm-hmm,
and
Mm.
feelings can fool you.
mm-hmm,
So we've got to be careful that it's not about feelings, but it's about something much more. And love is a decision; it's a choice.
Oh,
So again, even when we make each other upset or having warm fellowship, that doesn't stop my love for her, because love is a choice. I choose to love her. I choose to care for her. I choose to make sure that even in our conversation, she's not going to become all these names, because I'm choosing her best good. I'm not going to, there's no abuse, there's none of that, because I'm choosing her best good. So again, it really comes down to love being the foundation to sustain us.
Ooh, I'm choosing her best good. Come on, Pastor. Come on, ladies, listen. I just need women to listen because, and men too, but for women, for the most part, we settle just to have a body next to us.
Mhm.
We need somebody who is choosing our best good. That is my
Right.
new favorite. I'm about to post that on my whiteboard. I need
Mhm.
somebody who is choosing my best
My
good. For
best
real,
good.
I'm so serious right now
Right,
because
right, right.
we get lonely, and loneliness will make us settle for somebody who will call us out of our name.
Mhm.
Loneliness will make us settle for somebody who won't show up for us. So
Mhm.
we got to be real aware of the commitment that's involved when you say you love somebody, the
Mhm.
unconditional love, not the if you do this for me, I'll do that for you.
Right, right,
Absolutely.
Let's talk
right.
about this is probably going to be our last question. I have to have you we're going to have a whole I'm going to have to do this for 2 hours from now on. I got so many more questions, but let's talk about there's so much going on in the world right now. The devil is busy.
Mhm.
Some people just suffering consequences, but the devil is busy, and we leave cracks in the door when we don't do things in the proper order, the right way. We have what do you guys think about male and female friends? Pastor Cornelius having friends of the opposite sex, and Pastor Cat Yolanda having friends of the opposite sex. How does that work in your marriage?
For us, and he can speak to it, but we made a determination real early on, and one of our overseer, Bishop L.W. Francisco, told us a long time ago, and he told us to always watch out for the three G's: the girls, the glory, and the gold. The
Mm,
girls, the glory, and the gold, are the guys, the glory, and the gold. So
Mhm.
as we live our lives out, as we walk out our marriage, I need to be careful that I don't let any guys into a space that only belongs to my husband.
Right, right.
So the way we do business, even when we coaching, I do coach men as well as women. However, for the last 2.5 years, we've been doing it virtually. But anytime I'm having a meeting of any type with a male, there is always going to be another person there with me in that
mm,
meeting.
Mhm.
Always, if it's at church, if
Mhm.
it's regarding my children's volleyball, it is. And just know, for my own accountability, and then for that person's accountability, and plus for the eyes that just for the little eyes that's watching. And so the guys, the glory, don't believe your own hype. Don't believe that you so strong, and
Mhm.
you so religious, and you so perfect that you got it all together, that you couldn't possibly slip up and stuff. So don't believe your own uh, uh, hype, and then don't get caught up in the gold, the money,
The
the
greed.
lights,
Mhm.
the greed, the glitter, those types of things. So for us, no guys for me. Don't believe my own hype, and all that glitters is definitely not gold.
Yeah, and
woo,
same here. And even in our church setting, my wife, every Sunday, my wife and I are on stage pretty much together, so that when people come in, they don't have to wonder, oh, is he attached? Is there somebody? Yes, there is Miss Somebody right here, and saying for her. And
And they
and
probably gonna have on complementary colors. She gonna have on some
right,
pink,
right,
and he gonna have some
right.
pink.
I know that's
And
right.
we do that intentionally, but it's because we want to, and we believe that God has called us together, and we're also modeling that God can use families. He can use husbands and wives. He can use even the children, because all of our family is engaged with the ministry with us. So anyway, but it's by design that we're on stage together almost every Sunday. And again, for me, no closed door meetings at the church, no closed door meetings. Meet somebody at the groceries, I mean, no, it just don't happen. So I don't put myself in that position. We see what can happen in the news whether you do something or not. As she said, you don't want to give people lies, something to go run and tell. The worst thing that they can run and tell. My daughter and I, my oldest daughter and I,
that happens all the time.
yeah, we go to the store together, or she and I'll go have lunch or whatever, and we can tell those people look at that man with that young girl, and she'll say, "Daddy, what about this? Daddy, Daddy, what you gonna order, Daddy?" So we just play with it. We just let them, sugar daddy or daddy or what's really going on. So that's the only one they can go run and tell, and we just so amused when we come back and tell Yolanda, guess how many people today were looking at us.
Scowled at Cornelius like, you dirty old man.
Man, yes, I
Girl.
love y'all so much. I really have. This has been a really rich,
Thank you,
transparent conversation, and I appreciate you guys. And I just need people to understand that a lot of times you'll hear people who are not seasoned in marriage, right? I want to hear from people who are having successful marriages, and it doesn't have to be longevity. It just has to be a place of respect, a place of boundaries, a place of accountability. To say that because a woman and a man don't have male and female friends, there's no insecurity. There's accountability, there's boundaries, there's a plan, there's a purpose, there's a strategy. Because when you're running around here all willy-nilly, no matter how much you love the Lord, no matter how strong you think you are, I can't be influenced. The enemy is wicked and busy.
Yeah.
So we gotta protect what we love by making right decisions, and not, oh, he can't tell me not to have male friends, or she can't tell me not to have female friends. That is when you're unequally yoked.
Yeah. And the other piece of that too, Trey, and there is a way to have have relationships, because I am very, very close to Cornelius's brother. Actually, he and I were friends first before he and I. And so I have conversations with Anthony. There are one of Cornelius's men of valor so there are some ways you can be cordial with someone but having very strong boundaries in place and be very intentional about not crossing those boundaries, because again, we're all born in sin, shaped in iniquity, and we just don't want to put ourselves in a position that where we may not be able to maintain the integrity and the things that we're called to do in this season. And then again, whom much is given, much is required. So many of us, there's a mantle on our lives that we have to do, and sometimes that means that we can't do everything that everyone else does, or have the same kind of friends or same kind of friendly activity that others do. Some of that is par for the course.
And also, I know we got to go, but
it's okay. As long as you're here, I'm here.
Okay. I would just add this, that there are some, friends that Yolanda and I have, but we have them together. So if there's like some lady friends that I know, if they can talk to me and Yolanda together, then we can talk. But if it has to be, well, Pastor, when you have a minute, I'm sorry. I just try not to put myself in that position, because again, you don't want to give. Yeah. We don't want to do that. So,
but again, thank you so much, Trey, because as you can tell, we can talk you under the table with these types of things. But there was one last little thing that I wanted to throw out there, because I think that was one of the things when we talked before, you were asking for a few little keywords or key points, but our empowerment series is called SIFT. It's the letter CIFT, and C. These are the 4 principles for a relationship: for building one, for having one, for sustaining one, for dying in one. And it goes the SIFT for communication and conflict resolution. That's got to be very key, very high on our list of priorities to do as we work through building a relationship, meeting someone that we want to have a forever life with, or just to be a best friend to. So communication and conflict resolution, how we settle those things. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. And then intimacy, and not just physical intimacy, but intimacy. Can you see my heart? Can you see my dreams? Can you see me? Am I more than just, a pretty face or a handsome face? And then finances, talking about money. We didn't get a chance to talk about that much tonight, and maybe we'll do it another time. But we have to know, and it's not even necessarily does he make more than she does, or she makes more than he. But how do we feel about money? Do you save and I spend? Do I spend and you save? Are we spending it? Are we wasting it? Are we sharing it? Are we giving it away? Those types of things. And then that way we can.
Are we givers?
Are you givers? Are we givers? And so we want to be sure that we know about this, even as if we're dating. Many of us have gotten, really independent, and I don't know who pays for what now when you go out to eat and things like that. But you can still learn a lot about somebody's spending habits when you go out to dinner and they at least offer to pay, or they, take you to, Luby's versus, and nothing's wrong with Luby's in the daytime when my granddaughter takes me there. But
I know.
Finances, so finances, how do you feel about it? And then here we are, Cornelius, and now again, we started, with our careers. We went through our careers. We got raises, promotions, then retired, and the big checks became little checks and things like that. And now it's the two of us again. And we should have made some better choices in some areas, but had we not, you need to think about that all the way, through your journey, so that when you get to here, that you can still, get you a fly hat when you want one,
Yes, girl.
Buy these expensive organic strawberries, or pay for this expensive gasoline, stuff like that.
And it's never too early to start planning for, later on in terms of finance as well.
Yes.
And so you want to, when that word, that phrase, marrying potential, that's a kind of slippery slope for me, because I don't know how I feel about marrying potential. But you do want to be very cognizant of who you're going to spend your financial future with, or how you feel about who you're going to steal your financial future about. And the last one will be trust, and not just trust for infidelity and things like that, but can I trust you with my heart? Can I trust you with my dreams? Can I trust you with my son, Deontay? Can I trust you with
your mother,
with my mother, my 86-year-old mom? Can I trust you to trust me that you won't be, jealous or anxious or stuff, and that I will show that same kind of trust. So that's SIFT: communication and conflict resolution, intimacy, finances, and trust. Sorry, we went over, but
it's okay. No, don't be sorry. No, let the Holy Spirit work. Somebody needed to hear that. Somebody, like I said, we are here for people who are married, who desire to be married, and who are about to walk down the aisle. And those who are about to walk down the aisle needed to hear SIFT. Because it's not too late to postpone the wedding, right? We're not saying don't get married. We're just saying it's not too late to work some things through, to say, you know what, maybe we should hold back for 6 months. Like people be walking down the aisle when they know they got a doubt, but they got to learn the hard way. And next thing you know, there's a divorce and the families are fighting. But we do have to have you guys back.
Okay, good.
And I just want you to tell everybody where to find you, please, because I know people want to keep up with you guys, follow you. Where's the church in Houston? And just let everybody know where you guys are.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'm Yolanda, my husband Cornelius. You can find us both on all social media platforms. I am Yolanda K. Carroll. He is CorneliusCarroll.com. He is the author of a book called The Ball. So if you want to visit his website and even review the book opportunities and get one of those. And then our church, we're Abundant Love Christian Center here in Houston, Texas. Well, Webster, Texas, which is a small community right outside of Houston. And we're opened and worshiping. We're open and worshiping again after almost 2 years as a
Yes.
result of the pandemic. So that's a blessing. And then you can reach us here on our Facebook page, Abundant Love Christian Center, to view the worship center worship experience. And then we're on YouTube and Instagram. And then from our coaching, you can go to our website. Go to our Facebook page, SIFT, or you can reach us through email. Go to the mymentor.life and then pull up my name, Yolanda Carroll, and then you can set appointments and schedule and things like that as well.
And then also just want to say that our church will be celebrating our 20-year anniversary on April the 3rd. So God has blessed us and sustained us and kept us. So we'll be celebrating on April the 3rd at 10 o'clock. So, if you're in the Houston area, we'd love to have you. And if you're not in the Houston area, check us out on our webpage and or our app, and you can watch the worship virtually.
Oh my goodness. Thank y'all so much. I love this so much. Like y'all
Thank
have
you.
really like inspired me because there are a lot of people, again, I say this probably every week, who have lost hope in love, who have just given up. And the worst thing to do is to be hopeless.
Right.
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 And
That's right.
you
Right.
guys just speaking life and hope into us. Go ahead.
One last thing too, and I want to say too, there are those sometimes women or men can be discouraged, or even when there has been a breach in a relationship, and a very serious breach. And one of our clients, as well as they're very, very, very close friends of ours, and when we talk about, they went through a very tumultuous time in the relationship, and now they share their story, and I would love to get them on your platform.
Yes.
So that you could hear their story. But they've been married now for over 29 years. But, he was in a fault. It went really bad. It was in public, papers and all these different kinds of things. And there, he ended up, with all this stuff, bad stuff happened. But he got the help he needed, the emotional help he needed, and the spiritual help he needed. But one of the things that his wife says, and she says all the time, and it just always makes me feel good to encourage someone else, that she says, but Yolanda, it's okay, because he is not what he did. So he's not what he did. So I'm good, because Lance, he's not what he did. She's not what he did. So as people who, if you're listening or viewing and you're thinking about, okay, do I reconcile? What, is that, was that, is there, is that unrepairable? But, and Dee teaches us all the time. She says that anything that has been misaligned can be realigned. So let's do some course correct, and let's get that thing realigned. If that's what Holy Spirit is directing you, and that's what is your your lot in life. But I did want to say that he's not. Remember, he's not what he did. She's not what she did. Right?
I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, because we want marriages. God loves marriage. The
Yes.
enemy hates marriage. So
Yes.
we want marriages to last. And in this society, a lot of times people are quick to give up, or people are quick to advise a person, if I was you, don't listen to the if I were you people. Make a
Right. Right.
decision
Right.
based on
Please
your
don't.
own relationship goals, and you will survive. So thank you everybody for tuning into Love Lessons.
Thank
Remember, happy spouse, happy house. We'll see you
Yes.
next
Love it.
time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Thank
Trey.
you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.